Besides doing a bit of acting and writing, I also do a bit of directing. Nothing major. I've directed a few short films for festivals and a few small theatrical productions. But I do have my information listed on a few industry websites as being available for directing small productions. I saw a listing for a web series that someone was making, and they said that they had already done the pilot for it, that it was available on Amazon Prime, and they were looking for directors to come in and direct additional episodes. So this is very common for TV series, web series, that kind of stuff, where the same director does not necessarily direct every episode. Usually, your director that directs maybe the first couple episodes establishes the look of the series, and additional directors kind of come in, but they more or less mirror that look while maybe adding a little bit of their own flair to it. The series, from the description and what they had online, made it look like kind of a bit of a ripoff of The Apprentice. Anyway, I send them my info and say, hey, yeah, I'd be interested in directing episodes. Here's my directorial show reel. And a few days later, I get an email from them saying, hey, Jordan, thanks for your interest in blank. I'll leave the name of the show out. Please watch the pilot on Amazon using the link below. Once you've watched it, let me know. We can schedule an interview. Okay, great. I click on the link thinking that it was perhaps like a link to the streaming service. If you're an Amazon Prime member, there's stuff that you can watch. It wasn't. It was a link to Amazon's publishing service. So if you don't know, if you have a film that you've independent film that you've self-produced or something like that, you can actually put it on Amazon and send people the link and charge them to watch it. In this case, I think it was $2.49 or something around that, like $2.50 to watch the pilot episode of this series. Well, I'm not going to pay to actually watch a pilot of a series. If you want me to watch it so that I know what I'm speaking of when I come in for an interview, that's great. Send me a screener. Anyway, so I didn't watch it. Here's the thing, like if I'm going in for a job interview, and most people would do this anyways, if you're interviewing with a company, you're going to do some research on that company. If I'm looking to be a sales associate for company whatever selling their products, I should go into that interview knowing a bit about the products. It makes sense. And same with television production. If you want to work on a TV series, it's a good idea to have seen a few episodes of that TV series so you know what it is. So I understand them wanting to see it, but here's the thing. I'm not falling for what this looks to be, which is a bit of a scam, where they create an episode of something, they put it online, they want people to watch it so that way, A, they make some money off of it, and it gets their view count going up. And then they throw it out to various like casting sites and industry sites saying, hey, we're looking for people to come work on this project. People get excited. They're like, oh, great, I'm going to go work on this TV series that's going to be on Amazon Prime. And then I'll become famous or I'll be a big time director. And the reality is, from what it seemed like at the time, and that's why I'm not naming the series because maybe this isn't the case, but it seemed like they were just kind of working the system and saying, hey, give us some money, get our numbers up, and we'll act like we're going to bring you on in this series. So I email them back, and first I say, hey, if you're looking to email me, Milo Dennison, not Jordan, who this email was directed to, then certainly let's arrange an interview. A few days go past, and what I was expecting was them, if they were serious, to come back to me and say, okay, the interview, let's do a Skype call on such and such day, at which point I would say, look, I'm not paying to watch your series. If you are serious about bringing me on as a director for a later episode, send me a screener of your series. You can put it in a password protected website so that way it doesn't get out there. But they never did that. A few weeks go by. I don't think about it because that's the way things are. You move on with life. And, we got coronavirus going on right now, so maybe they've halted production. But that idea that it's still a bit of a kind of scam is in the back of my head. So I decide to go to this website and kind of check and see the message and perhaps like do a quick follow-up with them to find that the message has been deleted, like the whole chain. It basically says, message removed. These messages were posted by someone who is no longer a member of this site. And same thing, you go to their profile and it's no longer listed, which of course means if somebody called them out for running this little kind of scam that they've got going on, and now they're no longer in there. So on the plus side, I saved myself a big old whopping $2.49 or whatever the price was on this, and it gives me a fun little story to tell at the beginning of this episode. So now on to my interview with Silvana Benedetto, who has a wonderful story to tell about overcoming a certain level of shyness, taking some workshops on acting, and getting out there and doing something not because she thinks she'll necessarily become famous for it, but because she wants to do it, and it is an enjoyable experience. Welcome to Diary of an Unemployed Actor. I am your host, Milo Dennison, and joining me today is Silvana Benedetto. Is that right? Did I pronounce that right?
Benedetto.
Benedetto.
Benedetto. But look, I called you Milo for many years, so you're okay. You can call me Benedetto.
It's payback.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks. Thanks for coming on the show with me. To how the show works is I just like to talk to other actors, but I also want this to be more of a show about people that are actually working. The majority of the people that are actors and trying to make a living out of acting are us, people like us that are doing it either when we're not working at our full-time jobs or trying to make a career out of it. So that's kind of what this is about. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you is because you have an interesting story. You're originally from Italy, that you currently live in Ireland. And I just figured we'd sit and hang out and chat about acting. So let's start with what's your backstory? What got you into doing the performing arts?
It was a dream for me, okay, since I was a child, since I was very little, but I never had the chance to go to school, to acting school, even thinking about, oh my God, one day we'll be able to act, especially thinking about acting for the camera, for cinema. So I kept this dream for many years. In 2001, I had the chance to go to acting classes in my hometown. It was a sort of amateur group, but the director was really, really good. The director, it's not cinema, it's theater. Okay, so we had this little group of people of different ages doing workshops and trying to learn what it means to be on a stage, and it was frightening. I
Did
have to
they?
say that
Sorry to interrupt there. Did they teach a particular style of acting? Do you know, or was it more just kind of a general workshop?
no, it was a general workshop. It was once a week for, oof, I don't even remember, probably 3 hours in a row. And then at the end of the year, we did the show, the performance. And I have to say that I understood the meaning of the word stage fright. Luckily, everything went well because people told me that I was great. Everybody enjoyed my performance. But as soon as they closed the curtain, I said no more in my life because I didn't enjoy it. I was too nervous. Like, oh, it was a nightmare. So for me, I said, okay, bye, Silvana. This is the beginning and the end of your acting career. But then something magic happened in Ireland because thanks to the Dublin filmmaker's name of Cathal Group.
That's it. Dublin filmmakers. Yep.
Yeah, I had the chance to start being involved in short movies. At the beginning, I said, guys, I just want to see how a film is made because it's one of my childhood dreams. I remember when I was probably 4, 5 years old, I was trying to go behind the TV because I wanted to see how those people could get into the TV because I wanted to be there. So I said, listen, I really want to see how you make movies. So I think that the first time I offered myself as catering, and then it was I got involved in different things with this group, and then just happens that you start meeting lots of people in that environment, and you start creating your own project. As such, what happened for example, what happened with Claire Milan, it happened that we were completely aligned since the beginning about what we like about acting, or anyway, writing, acting, making films. We were completely on the same page, and we started, I have to say, very organically to be involved in projects together without knowing each other at all. And we just started to write things together, produce things together, act together. And when I say that we were completely aligned, it means that for us, acting is a big pleasure. You know, it makes you feel good. So it's not a way of oh, a narcissist and I want to see my face on the screen. It just I want to play that role because it makes me feel good, or I wanted to play that role because I want to tell the story in the best way as possible, so the audience will appreciate, give my interpretation to that character.
Yeah, it's interesting because Claire, I've already interviewed her for this podcast, and it is interesting because I've seen the two of you work together, and you do work really well together. And there is something to be said for when you find people that you work really well with, and how you can play off each other, and you get that energy and the feedback, and that's part of what makes acting fun. Is when you're in situations like that, it's almost reminiscent of being a kid and just playing with your friends, and but you're an adult doing that and having fun with it. So you mentioned when you got off the stage, you're like, nope, never again. You got involved in working with films kind of behind the scenes. What was that motivating factor that then got you back in front of the camera that said, okay, I'm going to give this acting thing another try?
Oof, it was very tough because nobody believes me, but I'm shy. So when the first time I joined the meeting, the Dublin Makers, I didn't tell anyone that my dream was acting. And I didn't tell anyone that I actually had the 1 year acting experience. I didn't tell anyone because I was feeling no, these are very real actors. I'm not a real actor, so I don't want to insult the category. You know what I mean? It was a sort of respect that I had for professional actors. So at the beginning, I was very shy, but then the more I was involved in the behind the scenes, the more I was getting jealous because I really wanted to be them. You know, I wanted to be you. I wanted to be Claire. I wanted to be Aiden. You know, I wanted to be them. So the big motivation was that. Then I started to go to different workshops. I went to some acting for the camera classes. So I prepared myself for, let's say, for 1 year and a half. I started to study by myself because I couldn't afford the expensive, amazing expensive acting schools. Unfortunately, I would love to, but I can't. Watching lots of movies, try to, you know, watch movies in a different way, you know. So I spent all my life watching movies just for fun, just for entertainment. But after I went to Terry Mahon,
How did you find that class? Because I know I've never taken his class, but I have interviewed Terry for the No Budget YouTube channel,
yeah,
and I hear the class is it's a tough class from my understanding. Is that would you say that or
very tough, but you know, I strongly recommend to everybody, especially I actually recommend it for people with experience. I went there like a kamikaze because I had no experience. My English is okay, but he speaks very fast, and he was talking about things that I didn't know about. Actually, about how to write a story, how to deliver a story. When in 2001 I went to that course, it was easy because the director was actually giving you the directions. So you should do this and this and that. And there was no room for a lot of interpretation. While when you go to Terry's classes, you find yourself writing already stories in your head because everything is an exercise. So you spend those 2 3 hours, I don't remember, doing exercise with people that are usually, if they're not, there are professionals and there are people who are semi-professional. So you learn a lot from them, and from him you really have to push yourself to your limits in different fields. So it's not only acting, it's storytelling, is how to analyze and build, let's say, the character if you were a writer, but also is useful if you want to write, if you want to be a director, if you want to be an actor, the three factors. So that's why I think that it's very important to go to classes like his. There are probably other ones, but my experience was very positive. So what I wanted to say is that when I finished the course, I started to go to the cinema, literally analyzing the films. So and then when I started to co-produce the short with Claire, I started to go to the cinema, even looking for. But it's not that I was looking for errors, but you find errors even in huge productions. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure that I found an editing mistake in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And that's Quentin Tarantino, so that'd be hard to find a mistake
Yeah.
in one of his films.
So I started to self-educate myself in that way. Then I went also to Carl Argue workshops.
Say that again. Carla Argue? Is that a person or?
Yeah, he's an actor
Uh huh.
um, in Dublin. So he's still doing these workshops, and they're very good. But doing so many workshops with different, you get a lot from different schools. So I tried to self-educate myself in this way, and then when I went back, I joined again the Dublin Filmmakers Meetup. I remember that for the first time in my life, when Kakal said, "Okay, so we have this project. Who wants to participate as actor?" And I very, very, very shy, with very little voice, I said, me, me. I would like to act." And I still remember myself saying that because I couldn't believe it, even if I'm not talking about Hollywood, but for me it was as if I was going to an audition for a Tarantino's movie. But it was the first time in my life, and it was a couple of years ago. I'm 45 now, so it was a couple of years ago, and I was feeling the same emotion, the same, you know, the same, yeah, excitement as if I was 10 years old and they were telling me, okay, you're going to be an actress in the future.
What was that film?
It was Happy Meal.
That's okay if you don't remember. No worries. I don't remember the
Not
names of
Happy
everything
Meal.
either. Oh,
Oh, it
that
was.
one that I was in with you.
Oh, you know why? Because I'm still embarrassed. So every time that I have to say the name of that film,
Why are you embarrassed about that? You had the world's longest monologue to memorize for that film, so you had the hard role.
it was first time that I was acting, let's say, for real.
Yeah, and you were the lead.
And it was a 6 pages monologue with Kahal as a writer director who is very strict.
Yes,
So
he's
it
one
does
of those. Yes, he's definitely one of those directors that he wants you to say the lines the way he wrote them for that long of a monologue. That was tough. I was very sympathetic
uh,
to you.
and on top of that, since it was my first real experience in front of the camera, I actually didn't know that the DOP should have done all that long take for the different angles. Okay, so I didn't know until the night before that I had to exactly remember what I was saying while I was doing this and that with my hands, with my hair. So that was the part because not only the character was a pretty difficult character because I had to make the audience think that it was a comedy, that it was only joking, that it was all fun. But actually, it was the character was a disturbed person, was a very disturbed woman who wanted to commit suicide. So it was pretty difficult as a character. But the biggest difficulty for me wasn't getting into character, was remember the lines.
Yeah, it is. That's an interesting challenge that I think a lot of people don't think about either. Is you do the same lines and sequence or scene over and over and over again, and you need to do it exactly the same way. You need to put your hand in exactly the same spot that it was in before, so that way, as it's edited together, it's a smooth transition. And that's where you get those continuity errors that people like to make YouTube videos about when they catch them in big movies. Well, let's jump. I have a question for you. So for me, since I moved to London, I find with auditions and trying to get into roles that a lot of them want a British and English accent, and of course with an American accent, it's kind of, they're like, "Can you do an English accent?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it sounds like shit." So do you find as an Italian living in Dublin that your accent is a hindrance or a benefit?
I don't even try to go to auditions. That's why I started to write my parts. I started with Claire, as I said before. I started to write my roles because even if I try to push an English accent, as you said, it's gonna be shit. And also, you are gonna be so focused on that accent that you're not natural anymore. Because I remember once I had to act as a Muslim woman, as an Arabic woman. So the costume was perfect. I really looked like an Arabic mother. But even if I spent night and day for a month trying to get the accent, it could, you could hear it that it was fake,
Mm.
and I think it's horrible. So I think that in Ireland, unless somebody is gonna write something where they need a woman of my age and my body and my face with my accent, I'm not gonna act anywhere.
So you're creating your own work, which I think a lot of people, I think it's a great thing that a lot of people can do nowadays, since we have access to filmmaking groups and a network of people that we can call on. It's fantastic. I'm also curious about Radio Dublino.
Radio
It's
Dublino,
what? Okay,
yes.
so tell me about Radio Dublino.
Radio Dublino, another childhood dream that I could realize in Ireland. That's why I'm grateful of this country. I'm not here for the money. I'm not here for the weather. I'm here because I can do things that in my little hometown I've never be able to do. So Radio Dublino is another childhood dream. And last year I had the chance to get involved with them with a small segment. And this year they asked me if I was interested to actually be involved as a, in Italian is regista, in English I think is producer, conductor, I don't know. Basically you have your own radio program, but we are many volunteers, so it's not every day, it's not every week, it can be once a month, once every 2 months, but it's really good because you can choose your music, you can choose your guests, you can choose your topics, and you have your 1 hour full program for you. And Radio Dublino is run by volunteers, and it's on live streaming through Near FM, which is a community radio. It's very good, by the way. I strongly recommend to listen to Near FM because it runs 24 hours for 7 days a week.
So
Yeah.
there's hours sections broken down to different topics and subjects. Is yours all in Italian or is it English Italian mix or what's the?
No, the Radio Dublino is only once a week on Near FM.
I see. Okay. So once a week, Radio Dublino on Near FM.
Yes, it's on Wednesdays, 9:30 p.m. And then you also have the podcast that can be listened on the Radio Dublino website. but live is Wednesdays 9:30 p.m. Irish time. So this is Radio Dublino. It's in Italian because sometimes in Italian and English because it's about the connection between Italians and Ireland. So it's mainly for Italians living in Ireland, but then we invite Irish artists just to show this fusion between the two cultures.
There's also another thing I want to talk to you about, the Lockdown Film Club.
Ah,
This I do know about because I am on the Lockdown Film Club.
thank
And
you.
so tell us a little bit about this.
Thank you for your contribution. Is very important if people like you can contribute with sharing their short films on this page because I created this page a couple of weeks ago when also in Ireland we started to have the it's not a lockdown in Ireland, but it was a we strongly suggest people to stay at home. So initially, I wanted to create this page to entertain Italians who are now almost 1 month in a real lockdown. Real lockdown means that, for example, my brother can go to buy groceries once a week, and that's it.
Once a week, really?
Yeah,
That's all he is allowed to?
yeah. But no, it's
Crazy.
not that they are going to fine you if you go more often than once a week. But you need to go out with a cert that you have to sign stating where you are going, from where to where, and so on. So my brother goes once a week also because everybody should do that. Or if you walk the dog, you can walk the dog only around your building and so on. So I was thinking, okay, my brother is a DJ and he's entertaining his usual customers because he plays in a club, doing direct like live, you call it the DJ set. So my brother is doing this DJ set twice a week to entertain his friends. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I can entertain some Italians sharing some short films. And on top of that, it's very useful for filmmakers, actors, creatives in general that now are having very tough times because I'm very lucky because I have a full-time job, so my head is actually very busy during the day, but who is used to be creative 100% working in the art now, yes, you can write, of course, but you also lose lots of job, of work. So you can also be in economical difficulties. It's not easy to write when you think, I don't know how to get to the end of the month. So, long story short, I thought it could be also useful for creatives worldwide just to connect, exchange ideas. Maybe they can come up with a brilliant idea for a future film when this virus will be finally over, and that's it. So I thought, okay, open this page and I invite people. Now I only have, I think, 300 likes, but
Well, not after this podcast gets out there. You'll have like 301, maybe 302.
well, look, it's not profit, it's free. So it's just a good chance for people to interact and share their shorts. Also because I was very specific. It's not only for Oscar award worthy short films, but I actually invite everybody to share their films, even if they are not finished, because they can ask advice to other filmmakers and say, look, this was my project. I never had the chance to finish it. What do you think? Can you help me? And so on. So it's like mi casa tu casa. In that case, it's my
Yeah.
page is your page.
Yeah, well, for me, because I'm basically stuck at home like everybody else, it gives me short films that I can throw into my YouTube and watch when I'm sitting around looking for something to watch. And I think anytime you can watch a short film, whether good or bad, or high production value or low production value, you always kind of get something from it. So it's always really kind of useful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're getting close on time here. If people want to track you down, where can they find you? Do you have a social media presence or anything?
If people want to contact me for anything, they can easily find me with my name and last name on Facebook. So it's Silvana Benedetto. Then on Instagram, it's Aloha Spirit 74.
I'll throw a link up to that. And of course, we didn't mention in our little conversation here, we got to get it done quick because I've got 6 minutes left. We need to mention Mary, Mary, Mary. I know we didn't, but it has the two of us in
Yeah.
it, which means it's brilliantly acted. You co wrote it with Claire, who we've mentioned a few times on this conference or on this call. Tell us what's the status of that? How's that
Ah,
going? Because it's done edited, right? And you're submitting it to festivals, right? How's the festival
yeah,
circuit
yeah, yeah.
going?
We submitted it to some festivals, and it was accepted at the Caorle Film Festival, which is a very nice film festival near Venice. And it was meant to be screened in May. Unfortunately, they postponed it for obvious reasons. But whenever it will be screened, we will go all together to Caorle, and we are waiting for other answers by other film festivals. Just submitted it, and now the coronavirus is not helping.
No, of
No,
course
but
not.
it was it's a nice film. It's different.
Yeah, it was really it was a pleasure to make. It was a lot of fun, and we had a great director on that,
Honor,
Connor. Yes, what's Connor's last name? I can't think of his
Comin
last name. Tobin. That's it, Connor Tobin,
did the DOP and director.
and of course the brilliant Eamon, who I am going to get on this podcast
Oh,
here at
great
some point
stuff.
in time.
Demon is fantastic.
That is great. Thank you for joining me. I know we had some technical difficulties there at the beginning, but I appreciate coming on my podcast, being one of my early guests. To my audience, as always, if you have any comments, feel free to leave a review wherever you get the podcast from. And with that, I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.